In this part 3 video, you will be learning how to answer the following Linux interview questions.
1. What kind of experience do you have with Linux systems? I have experience with Linux systems from both of my previous jobs. I've used Ubuntu on a desktop and CentOS for servers. 2. What do you think are the advantages and disadvantages of using Linux? Advantages of Linux include that it is free and open source, meaning you can customize it to your own liking. Disadvantages may include that it is difficult to learn how to use it first, but once you do, there are many advantages. 3. What kind of tasks have you performed on a Linux system that demonstrates your grasp of this operating system? One task I've performed on a Linux system is to install and configure a web server. This demonstrated my understanding of how to install and configure software on a Linux system. 4. What are the most important skills for a Linux systems administrator? The most important skills for a Linux systems administrator are understanding how the system works, troubleshooting problems, and managing servers. 5. Have you ever worked in an environment where you had to troubleshoot and resolve issues with Linux systems? If so, can you provide some examples? Yes, I have worked in an environment where I had to troubleshoot and resolve issues with Linux systems. One example was when a user's web server stopped working. By understanding the system and finding the cause of the problem, I was able to resolve it quickly by restarting web servers. 6. Which command is used to uncompress gzip? Gunzip command is used to uncompress gzip. 7. What are the LR permissions in Linux? There are 3 types of permissions in Linux OS that are given below. Filled circle read, user can read the LR and list the directory. Filled circle write, user can write new less in the directory. Filled circle execute, user can access and run the LR in a directory. 8. What is grep command? Grep command is used to search less for spec patterns. It makes use of options and parameters that are specified along with the command line and applies this pattern in searching the required LR output. 9. What is the difference between file and directory permissions in Linux? Directory permissions. The permission settings allow users in a directory to read, write, and execute less within the directory. These permissions can be set at the directory level or for specific files within that folder. File permissions. Files have owners, groups, and others assigned which determine who can access, read, write, modify owner, or create dir, less with these permissions. 10. What is the difference between chmod and omask in Linux? The chmod command sets the permissions for a LR or directory. It takes 3 arguments: mode, read, write, execute, uid, owner of the file or directory, git, group that owns the file or directory, chown, changes owner and group information of an object.